it is here in present time. We were presented with challenges that required us to think in inspired ways. Well, President Kennedy responded, initiating a program of physical fitness in every school in America. The administration encouraged outdoor sports, commissioned songs about being active, started national sporting competitions. The president championed the initiative and brought the nation together around public health and education. He made it in everybody's interest to participate. The program was a huge success, as physical education became part of the core curriculum at every school. The schools built tracks, hired teachers, and every child was graded on his performance or her performance. Not only did it encourage physical fitness, but it caused a huge surge in pride within schools, and it helped to strengthen the communities and the nation. Well, we face much more serious challenges that require us to act in a dramatic way. And I believe that we need to reinvest in public education, but this time by coming through the lunchroom door. This is the door that's open, and by providing breakfast, lunch, to an afternoon snack to every child for free, we can have the most dramatic and lasting effect. Now, to my stimulus plan, which I really do believe is at the foundation of greening a city or a state or a nation. Every child needs a set of values that teaches them to how to take care of the land, how to feed themselves, and how to communicate with each other. That's what we need to share this planet. Now, point one. By setting a criteria for the buying of food in schools, school lunch could stimulate a local economy of sustainability. By paying the real price to the farmers and producers for food, the money would go directly to the local organic community. This could transform the school system overnight and the food system overnight. Just imagine Chez Panisse feeds 500 people. We buy from 85 different farms and producers. We support 2 entirely. In Berkeley, there are 10,000 kids in schools, 17 schools. So just imagine what we're talking about in terms of transformation. Okay, point 2. By removing the financial burden of parents having to provide for their children's lunch, not only do you save them the expense, but you also reassure those parents that their children are going to be nourished. Remember, the children are eating for free at school. Point 3, by investing in educational infrastructure, you're hiring the people who breathe life into the program and rebuild the schools. And the final point, point 4, it would stimulate our students to learn in a way that isn't new but has been forgotten. Now, we have Edible Schoolyard affiliates across the country, and it's very important that we have these models that people can walk into and experience something that really is kind of as right as rain. In Berkeley, we have something over 1,000 visitors a year who come into the school. And it's really, really remarkable. All kinds of people, teachers and politicians, children, all come into the school. Now, each affiliate has adopted the complete vision that we have, and it has been established in a location that further demonstrates the universality of the idea. And I think that that's very important, that you're in different climates, you're in the city, you're in the country, you have the possibility of really poor communities, rich communities, so you can really see whether this works. Now, our first affiliate was established in New Orleans, and it grew up right after the hurricane happened, and it has become a central part of the community and has managed to involve families and neighbors and volunteers. Last year they had 2,900 pounds of vegetables that came from the garden, and they used in their seasonal cooking classes. Their middle school children participate in something called Budding Entrepreneurs, where they sell the vegetables and the transplants of the gardens from their greenhouses. They have family food nights where they teach families in the kitchen classroom how to cook nutritious food on a budget. We have collaborated with like-minded organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, and at their Hunters Point location in San Francisco, and I think you probably know about that area that is in the heart of an urban food desert, but the garden just fits like a glove in an organization that is taking care of children so successfully and significantly. We have edible schoolyards in Los Angeles, 2 schools, and the lunch is inspired every day by what's most abundant and affordable. They are very successfully experimenting with whole grain pastas and tortillas. No empty calories there. Every single child eats lunch. And our newest affiliate is in Brooklyn and has taken the lessons learned from the Edible Schoolyard experience. They've woven the curriculum into all subjects. And the garden has been a place for math and science and botany. And when we broke ground in PS 216 in the Brooklyn Bureau, their president of Brooklyn came, his name is Marty Markowitz, and he said, I have never had a project that I endorsed where everybody thought it was a good idea. Isn't that incredible? I think. And we had the good luck to have Jake Gyllenhaal there at the groundbreaking, and he's decided he'd like to be an ambassador for edible education. He's headed down today to Australia with his film, and he's on the television talking about edible education. Now, isn't that beautiful? That you find the people that have the values and have the charisma to carry this for us. Now, in the summer of 2008, at the Slow Food Nation Festival, we established a victory garden at the Civic Center, and many of you might have been there. It was a large garden open to the public that produced a significant amount of food, and it was right there in the center of the city. Have you done a garden in Portland? In City Hall, you have. Big one?
It helps feed the local homeless shelter.
Great, great. That's something that I definitely have been thinking. Why isn't every plant that's put in the ground in the city something that's edible? There's beautiful kales. I mean, they're changed all the time. And why not just cut them and give them to the homeless centers? That's just one of my little side things that I would think of. Okay. Now, in many ways, I think of the Victory Garden as a kind of pop-up edible schoolyard. Although not specifically designed for children, it had the same effect on the adults that walked through the high rows of corn at the Civic Center. It inspired, it woke up the senses, it stimulated and moved people to action. And I think that creating working gardens in culturally significant and important places can make an amazing statement. When we were asked a while back, and I think it was 2005, to go as part of a Smithsonian food festival in Washington, D.C., we established an edible schoolyard right there on the Washington Mall. We invited all the powers that be to come down and experience for themselves our vision of edible education. Well, my friend Mark Danner, who is a journalist, not studying food, but torture in Iraq, came to just sit in on our lunch. And to finish this little talk, I would like to read something that he wrote for our 40th anniversary book, which is coming out next year. Quote, "How do you manage to herd together the most powerful, sought-after legislators in the Capitol, including a soon-to-be majority leader and a future Secretary of State, to direct their elusive attentions to the subjects of food, nutrition, and the health of the country's children?" A simple question, which in the cosmos of Chez Panisse, the edible schoolyard, and Alice Waters, has a simple answer. You lay out a lovely, simple table on the mall, and you offer them some pizza. Very, very good wood-fired pizza, and a bit of salad, and oh, that fruit dessert. When the pizza arrived, and after a moment or two, there was a bit of laughter, and the conversation just took off. As I write, a new childhood nutrition bill, imperfect but an improvement, works its way through Congress, even as the First Lady, with diligent school children as helpers, tends her White House garden. Revolutions spring from many sources, not the least from a tiny wooden table laden with delicious food on the Washington Mall. Thank you very much.
Before she gets on the road, she's going to take 3 to 5 questions. So if you guys have questions, please stand up, say what your name is, and then ask your question for Mrs. Waters.
Okay, well, you should know that when you leave, you have to take something with you. There's oranges down here, clementines actually, and there's some dates and little biscotti and various things. I like to bring food wherever I go. So please, maybe at the door, we could pass you a little taste. I hope we have enough, but this all has to go with you. Does anyone have any questions? I know, where's the money going to come from?
Hello there. I'm Kulvinder Singh. Their Mayor Sam and Mayor Kevin. I saw you last night with Steve, the Railroad Museum. What other cities or places are at the cutting edge beside Portland, Oregon, Sacramento, California? Please.
Well, I have to say, I've been looking at who's the most foresighted in terms of education. That's where I'm looking first, and I think that's where we're going to, bring up the next generation to hold the values that will make the cities work, and that I want to begin there because it's the way to educate the parents. You know how well this works, whether it's rainforests or cigarettes or recycling. It kind of begins in the school. But you really need that saturation to combat a fast food nation. And that indoctrination is so thorough. I'm looking actually in a global way. I just got back from Torino in Italy, and is the place of Slow Food International, and I was